What does it mean when a five sensory is engaging in ambiguous behavior? For example, maybe they're liking your social media, but they don't DM you. Or they like your stories, but they don't like your social media posts. Or they could be having long conversations with you in person, but you don't keep in touch. You don't get the follow-up asking for further contact information, like a phone number or social media contact. Or maybe they are initiating hugs, or they are potentially texting you and messaging you, but not following it up with a date in person. All of this ambiguous behavior is designed to warm you up as a sixth sensory. Five sensories who are smart know how to warm up a sixth sensory so they're getting attracted and turned on to the five sensory. And the whole concept to this ambiguous approach is to get the sixth sensory warmed up and then approaching the five sensory first. Because when a sixth sensory approaches a five sensory first, rather than allowing the five sensory to make the most move, the five sensory has more power to do with what they want. And they may not want a serious relationship. Maybe what they're looking for is attention. They just want to feel validated that they're attractive, but they're not really ready for a relationship for whatever reason. So that's the way that they get their needs met, is by warming up a lot of people and getting them attracted and getting them to approach them first. Or maybe they're looking for hookups, and by six sensories approaching first and initiating contact because they feel a lot of desire from having received a lot of attention, the five sensory is able to lure the sixth sensory into bed. Or maybe it's because the five sensory doesn't want the community to know that they're seriously interested in the sixth sensory. Maybe it's a very tight-knit community and they're trying to keep things secret and on the low. And so they don't want to tell the world about you yet for whatever reason. So how do you handle it? The important thing is you have to remain calm. So don't worry about this attention you're receiving. Don't pay attention to it. Why? Because it's not really a serious enough attempt to get into a relationship with you or get into some kind of commitment. And you should just treat these five sensories like they are basically friends. And I don't mean friends with benefits. I mean friends that you're not attracted to. You can help them. You can be compassionate to them and give them attention when they ask for it, but don't become emotionally attached to them in any way, because they have not done anything worthy of getting an emotional attachment from you. They have not done anything worthy to get your anger or upset either. They are operating in the dark on purpose so that you will catch feelings, and then when you approach them first, they will be like, oh, I'm not looking for a relationship, I'm just looking for a hookup. And then they'll use a line like that, and too bad, because you're hooked on their attention and you need something from them. What we gotta do instead as six sensories is develop a little bit of self-discipline. We gotta learn to live with the chocolate cake being in the fridge and not taking it out to eat it and knowing it just lives there. Or if you really can't handle with the chocolate cake living there, then you need to separate yourself out from this five sensory. Maybe you stop following them on social media, which is a strong move, I will say that. Having said that, if they're bothering you and disturbing your inner peace and they're not following it up with something more serious, I would say it's worth your inner peace just to get rid of them out of your life. Or if you know them in person, stay away from the places where you see them in person if possible. But let's say they're a coworker, you must be in that physical place and they must be in that physical place. Then you have to set a different kind of boundary. If you know they're checking you out when you go to the water fountain, bring your own water and don't go to the water fountain anymore. If you know that they're talking to you over the break in the break room, they're trying to subtly flirt with you, go to your car to take your break. Set the boundaries so they can't get to you if they're not serious enough. Remove your presence, remove your attention, and then they have no choice to either let it go or step it up and give you a more serious commitment. I had this happen to me when I was younger. I was studying in a spiritual group and a person there was giving me a lot of attention that wouldn't follow it up with any serious commitment. And it was genuinely disturbing because I was there to focus on my spiritual development, not to play around or mess around with people. And it made me too uncomfortable to go back to that group at that point because I felt like my opinions were not heard, that this person had operated in the dark, and then when the truth came to light, their behavior was seen as, oh, it's too subtle, they didn't do anything wrong. But five sensories love the subtle behavior when they can't be made out to be the bad guy because they can operate and get what they want in the dark. And what you need to do as a sixth sensory is be aware of this kind of manipulation and leave when it happens. Or you can choose to live with it. Like if you can live with it and that person is not your person, then you can just ignore them and not be attracted to them. That's great if you can do that. Having said that, if people are being energetically nasty, even in a nice group of people, just to get attention, then you need to remove yourself from that situation, regardless of whatever that group is and how committed you're supposed to be to the group. If it's not good for your mental health and your well-being, then you need to go. And you don't even have to confront the five sensory about their behavior at all. Some coaches will recommend that you do that in order to have clarity, but I would say don't even bother. If they've been behaving a certain way without following up, then remove yourself. That's all you really need to do. You don't even need to explain why. You can just say you're busy and you have other priorities and leave them alone. This actually happened to me again more recently when I was volunteering at a specific place, but there was a person there who I could tell was operating under subtle behavior and trying to get me attracted to them. And I just decided not to volunteer there anymore because I thought if they're serious, they will come and find me and follow it up with a serious commitment. And if they're not, I don't want to be stuck in an obligated environment where I'm hanging out with them all the time. It's not fun, you know? So don't fall prey to that kind of ambiguous behavior as a sixth sensory. If it's going on, move on, set the boundaries, or just ignore the people who are engaging in that behavior.